Something is wrong here. I know gets it. I know gets it.
You need a floating table.
Oh. Can we keep this thing here?
Well, it cannot, maybe with the little,
This small screen.
oh, yeah, there you go. Yep.
High dexterity.
Move it a little bit more towards you, just a little bit, because there's a ray.
A ray of light?
Yeah. That's okay.
Where?
Ah, yeah, that's perfect. We don't see it, huh?
No, you can't see it. It's not gonna happen. Hey, what happened to jiggle my jigger?
What?
Okay. Okay, done.
Okay, then.
Well. You only got a little bit of shaky. Ooh, it's hot. It's hot. Is that steady, huh? Is that the right? I can't remember. What's the proper? Is that steady, huh? Something like that, I think. Okay, well, Hanagadiwa Higajokwa. So what I'm gonna see is Nyari. Gazitan's Rio, you just go in Oji and Dudget's going to start on Hata Rooney. Detinewada do Garunga Gari, I guess. Yet he sought to us a Tonka Garako dano, yet in the stars in Hunzagi dano, Guegiscutnik and Ungwe. Detinewada do a Gui, so yera and Tukundun Hetzer at Gawis dano, a Guizini Ganyat de Gerdo, a Guego or Quadri Anuka Sua. They didn't what I do here to sort of gun there, though another headstone. They're gonna go here to the Hawakwe. You can't again have dumb down out on headstone and goes it's Tasser and Neganungwe. Dumb down out on headstone and Asset Nigot Dard again, Ganyanga Haga, Radinato, Ronata Runi, Dana Riscadeva again. Dumb down out on headstone, Guego on the go to Guyana, that's the go and Estana, Dana Ori Wheel, Curry what body shoots it on because of Sasser. Dam Dao Yaron Hetzer and Gayanda one and gonna go here. Okay, so as you know by now, whenever we get together for a meeting, council, ceremony, anything of importance, we always have to carry out Honda Gadi Wadekwa first, and this is where we give thanks for the things in creation that have created us and the things that we need to continue to sustain us. And so we always begin by giving our thanks to the great spiral of creation. That when you look up into the nighttime sky, you are not looking into cold, dark, empty, lifeless space the way that non-native science would lead you to believe. No, instead, you are looking into the living, vibrant body of our great mother, of Sky Woman herself. And so we give thanks to her, to Sky Woman, as it is she who has given us spirit. From there, we give our thanks to the beating heart of our Mother Earth, to our grandmother Moon. It is she who regulates the flow of the lifeblood in all things upon our Mother Earth. And so we give thanks to her, to Grandma Moon, as it is she who has given us blood. From there, we give our thanks to our Mother Earth, regardless of where you have grown up from her, what language you speak, what color you are, or what you imagine divides us. We have all come from the same mother, from our Mother Earth, making us all one family, sisters, brothers, all relations, all together. The diversity of where we have grown out and what we have grown into is the dream of Sky Woman. It is the plan, the blueprint of creation, just like in your body, that that you need a heart. That heart has to be somewhere in your body. You need lungs. It has to be somewhere in your body. But when we think of the heart and the lungs and everything else, everything else that it takes to keep you going. When you think of all these things, that they're all made of the exact same thing. It's just that they're put together in different constitutions. We know that everything is structured on the molecular structure, which the non-native world identifies as protons, neutrons, and electrons. But as you know, what is identified in the native world as turtle, wolf, and bear. These are not just things that are solid in their existence to say that, well, like a proton, it's a proton and that's it. But when you say a turtle or a wolf or a bear, then these things are traits that are intrinsic to those things. Now, if you ever happen to stumble upon a bear, in its natural habitat, or a wolf or a turtle, you would be able to differentiate. You would see clearly behavior. You wouldn't see something relegated to being a certain way forever. No, you'd see a behavior. And in that behavior within that thing of that turtle, wolf, and bear, well, the turtle, wolf, and bear may morph evolve into different things. Let's say that the temperature of our Mother Earth rose by that magic 2 degrees. Well, we're seeing how things such as polar bears are being affected by having their habitat basically melt right under their feet. But we're seeing in places like Greenland, I believe it is. This was in the news just recently about a bunch of polar bears. I don't know what they're called, a gang of polar bears, a group. That there's a group of them that are living in Greenland on the land, where they've obviously adjusted to, because there's no more ice sheet for them to live upon, can't sustain them, and they can't just go swimming all over the place in the ocean looking for their food. They need that ice pack. So we're looking at right now how something like a polar bear is evolving to adjust itself to be able to live within the conditions that man has inflicted upon polar bears. So here with this bear, the polar bear, you can see that the polar bear may be changing, but the traits within the bear are still there. Now, maybe 100 years from now, when the polar bear is maybe something entirely different, maybe 5,000 years from now, maybe she'll be entirely different based on the lack of sea ice, the lack of cold weather, and even maybe the lack of food that they're used to eating, and maybe they're going to evolve into being something completely different, as we know that non-native science identifies that we humans, that we basically grew out of the food chain, out of the waters, out of the ocean. We're basically, according to modern science, we're like tadpoles first, swimming around and fishes, and then this and that until we started to crawl out of the ocean. So we crawl out of our old habitat into a new one. We don't look like the same way as living in water. Well, you generally have scales on your body. There's different fishes or creatures within the ocean. They don't all have scales, but generally, you're scaly, and your skin is basically, I wouldn't know how to describe that, but fishy, not as soft as the way that we are, not as welcoming, not as nice anyway. So that when we climbed out of the Earth's oceans and onto land, we evolved, we changed. Our traits still stayed within us. Our behavioral patterns still stayed the same within us. And when you look at every species on Earth, well, what does every species do? Well, they all mate in order to perpetuate the species. So that tells you that every species on Earth likes mating. So there's a trait. Now, this you can say it's a function, maybe not a trait, but this is, as you see it develop in humans, that function isn't just there for like a bodily function to make sure that humans keep perpetuating. That function is there in our lives, as we know. Sex has become something of not just for survival and to perpetuate the species. Sex is something it's a trait that we have. It's something that we as individuals pursue to whatever varying degrees, but there is the trait in the species, and you can see the trait in all species. So knowing that all species, all are derived from one point within creation, all coming from like Mother Earth, from Grandma Moon coming from Sky Woman, all or originated from one point. We know that from the original division, and I'll show you this example again, that on the original division on the turtle's back, we see that the first existence, the first thing is a singular. And then you see the following two that follow after. These are the twins, but you can also see that of the two, that they are in varying levels of darkness or brightness. This is like the darkest. This is darker. Darkest, a little less dark, and this is less dark. It's less light. So you can see that while either this one, which is in between, it either came from the one that is less light or it came from the one that's less dark. And so when you're looking at the procession of things coming from one, well, then you know that traits in every animal on Earth is because of coming from the original division from the one that created the two to then be able to, the three of them together, create diversity by mixing the traits, putting like the way that of the periodic table, they say that well, you rearrange the amounts of atoms, protons, neutrons, electrons in the atoms, and this then changes the molecular structure, changes the molecule, changes what it is. So, for instance, just as an example, I don't know this, so don't take this as word for word. But the fact is that heart is a different. It's constituted differently. Lungs constituted differently. Stomach, everything constituted differently. So like. Again, within the periodic table, you shift those the amount of protons, neutrons, electrons around. Well, then you have a different thing. you have a heart, shift those amounts of protons, neutrons, electrons around. And I don't know, but there's probably somebody who knows precisely how many protons in a heart molecule, how many electrons, So these things are known. It's identified in modern science that yes, the diversity is there, but it's all structured upon like I said, coming from one root. So the diversity and how it expands, how it grows, how it divides. So maybe, just for example again, maybe in one strain, you're going to mix more turtles, and another strain, less turtles, more bears, another one more this or that. And then when you mix those things again with the other things, then this constitutes diversity, a larger diversity than the first diversity of the tree, like what you see on the turtle's back. Well, now, of course, we got so many different kinds of plants in the world, so many different species of animals, so many different everything that from the beginning, if we're looking at the first ray of light, we can say that, well, it was simply just like one color. But now we have so much color. We have so much diversity. And as you know, that every time you adjust, take out a turtle or a bear or a wolf or add it in there, this changes even pigmentation. It changes color hues. It colors, when you look at, for instance, if you're in the garden on a daily basis, once you're used to the plants, you'll be able to tell when they're like just tiny sticking out of the ground. You'll be able to tell from the color, the hue, especially what you can tell this on is corn. You can tell this in corn. You can tell it in tobacco, in the Uyungwa, because even when the Uyungwa is just those tiny, tiny little, when they're just sprouting, it's a different color. And if you know the color of the tobacco, then you can tell that right there when this is sprouting, if there's weeds next to it or something, some weeds look like tobacco, you can tell that one that's not the right color, that's not tobacco, and you can pull it out. So it makes it makes a big difference in that, in relation to that, like gardening and other things. This is just one example. Like if you gotta wait, if you're not certain, you've got to weed your garden, and you see these two things that you can't tell the difference, even in the shape and the color, well, then you got to wait a little longer for those things to grow. And then you'll be able to differentiate. Well, you'll know clearly this is tobacco, this one is some other thing, and you pull it out. But if you know like I said, if you know the colors in the first place, and again, colors are just a matter of how many turtle, wolves, and bears you got mixed together. So once you become familiar with the color of the tobacco leaf, you'll know as soon as something pokes its little head up out of the ground, you'll know that's a weed. Pull it out right away. But like I said, if you don't know the color and you gotta wait, maybe say a week until that thing grows, and then you can tell, well, by that time that could already have its effect in your garden. I mean, it's not going to devastate your garden, but if you are a gardener, and if you're in that garden all day, and if that's your focus, then you'll know that one little leaf out of place in your garden, that's not going to make any difference to your garden. It's going to make a difference to you. It's only going to be you you're going to walk by your garden to go do something else. And that one little plant that's out of place is going to bother you. I know that happens. It happens to me. It happens to everybody. Even if you let your garden turn all to weeds, it's not that you're necessarily out there every day to be able to know and differentiate these things of color hues. But if you, let's say, like some people, my father's old friend, John Dybel, he just came by this week, and he brought some cedars here. He cut some cedars at his house, and he brought them here. We're going to use them for the law recital. Anyways, while he was here, I says, hey, come take a look at my Ayungwa. And because I know that he's always grown that. And this is, he told me, he says, this is the first year that his Ayungwa didn't take. It didn't happen. And I told him, I says, well, the garden, our ceremonial garden is telling us a story right now about the tobacco. So come and take a look. Our garden this year, well, first I'll set the stage about our garden. All my life, ever since I can remember, my mother and father had me in the garden. We were planting something. When I was younger, it was mostly potatoes. And then when we got a little older, let's see, I must have been here, 12, 13 years old when we started our garden here. My mother started, anybody who knows the property, there's cedars right behind the longhouse. And then right behind those cedars, there's our first lawn. Now that first lawn was way back in 1974. It was our first garden. And my mother started the garden there, anyways. So we're had the garden going all our life. It was just at different times, it was different things. When I was younger, it was mainly potatoes. When I got older, it was mainly just the three sisters. Anyways, after my mother died, we moved the garden into the main lawn, the second lawn. Any of you who have been here, you know that, well, the second lawn, that's the big lawn. That's where the gatherings are held, the ceremonies and that. And in that second lawn, that was our second garden. And it was all just straight, Each of our gardens that we ever had were always just straight rows. It was for sustenance. And then, let's see, it must have been around 92. Yeah, 92 that I started clearing out the trees for the third garden. And the third garden, again, for those of you who have been here, that's the third garden way in the back. You got to go through the first lawn, the second lawn, get into the garden area. It's like all different rooms. And that's the big circle ceremonial garden. So we created that I cleared it out in 92, but it was only around maybe around 2000 and between 2007 to 2010. I can't really remember where, but it's somewhere in there. Then we changed it from a straight garden, just straight rows, into circular, and to divide it, to create it as a duplicate of our Mother Earth's magnetic field. And when we done this was in conjunction. Yeah, it was around 2010, because it was in conjunction to prepare for 2012. So I see you're shaking your head. What are you saying no to?
It was before, because first time I came here was in 2009, and it was already like that.
It was already like that. Okay, it must have been, like I said, around 2007. But it was a message that I received about returning back to our original, returning back to our first. So this meant that to return back to our original, our first, that we have to return back to the original structure of our earthly cell. And so to do this, then we duplicated our earthly cell in the garden, structured on the 5 what you call this, the 5 layers of our Mother Earth's magnetic field. Yeah, and combined with the 5 nations, but also with the steps in the DNA, the visible steps in DNA. And so this means that the southern portion of what a walkway going straight down the middle, dividing it, just like the human brain, just like our Mother Earth, just like the hemispheres. So the southern hemisphere of our garden, since the longhouse goes east to west, so the garden is divided into the southern hemisphere and the northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere is the first hemisphere. This is the female side of our garden. And so the southern hemisphere gives us the messages of the life giver side. Northern hemisphere gives us the messages of the male side. So this year, as a result of the way that we've been growing the ceremonial garden and reading it, we don't water it, we don't do anything to it except weed it, when we can. We generally leave her to be on her own, for her to show us how she wants to be. Anyways, this year has been the first year that the corn, it's not there. The corn, she's just not, she wasn't taking root. And at the same time, it's the first year that our garden shifted over to tobacco. Now, this didn't work for me ever. Tobacco just didn't work for me. And I never tried to garden in a way of where, like say, even for sustenance, like to say, I'm going to plant this, I'm going to take care of it, and at the end of the year, this is what I'm going to eat. I've always just planted, even though sustenance is included, I've always just planted the garden for to be able to read her, for her to show us, to speak to us. And so this is how she spoke to us this year, that what I never had good fortune in the past was our sacred tobacco, but always we had good fortune in the corn. So this year it shifted from corn, which is love, it's heart, it's emotion, it's our mother's heart. It shifted from emotion to the tobacco, which never took for me. It never happened. Now, like I said, I've been planting all my life, and at different times I participated in a garden where everybody's there and everybody does this, together, and tobacco never worked. I worked on different things in the garden in the past where I planted just one thing myself, and these things have worked okay. This is the first time that tobacco has worked, though. It hasn't worked in the past. It just never happened. So when I brought my father's friend back there to come and look at the garden, he looked at it, he says, holy geez, he says, wow, your tobacco, you really got a lot of tobacco here. He says, it's really going good. And he was telling me some tricks, about how to care for it and what to do when it's all, I did make rows. I made 5 rows from each nation, but then we had an unfortunate thing. I left the tobacco in a plastic container that we got for food delivery, takeout. And I left it outside. I thought it would be okay, and it rained, and it got all wet inside. And this was a plastic food container. I don't know how it got wet, but anyways, the tobacco seeds got wet. So we couldn't leave these seeds for next year. We had to put them in the ground. So what I did, I really didn't think they were going to take, because they were left there for a few days before we even noticed that it was wet. And so what I did was I just took them and I just threw them all over in between the rows where I planted. Like I said, I didn't think they would take. I just planted them there like to be support for the other tobaccos. Anyways, they're all taken, and it's popping up all over. We got little tobaccos like this. I did not transplant them. I go straight into the ground. I don't do that stuff, transplant in the house, take it out and put it in the ground. Put it in so that it lives its full cycle in its life the way that it's supposed to, the way that it wants to. But then about this, then my father's friend, John Dibo, told me, he says, when they're all bushy together like that, he says they're gonna be fighting. He says you got to separate them. Now you see tobacco, yes, they're all close together, but when they're big, yes, the leaves are gonna be overlapping and leading into the next one, but they're not right on top of each other. So this is something to take note of also, or anybody who's got their tobacco going this year, just as a reminder that once they do start taking, you check if they're become too bushy in one area, then you have to take out the small ones and separate them, put them, in another area. If you have a big enough property, then maybe you can even make separate tobacco gardens. But if you got tobacco, you should keep it all together. When you are transplanting, if you're going to take right out of the ground and plant it into the ground, like to spread it out, be careful to make sure that your roots don't get any sun, and don't let them get too dry. Have water, of course. Keep them wet. As soon as you put them in the ground, of course, just like anything, you got to water them. So this year, we're getting good, strong messages from the garden, which is our mother, from our mother's, what science calls magnetic field, but her spirit. Magnetic field, as you know, leaves here, travels the surface of the earth, 5 layers, and then goes back in the North Pole, of all places, comes back out the South Pole. Most people know of the Earth's magnetic field, but they don't really give it much thought. Like to think of, this is really quite something, that there is such a huge action happening upon our Mother Earth, other than her just rotating this way for us, like left to right, that direction, or would we say horizontally? But then to know that something else is happening, leaving her pole, traveling over the earth, re-entering her other pole, traveling back through the center of the earth, back through to the other pole, and recycling, redoing this whole process. This is something that I know that people do not contemplate about. Just to think about this would have, should have nations in official counseling processes to come together to determine just what exactly is this process. What is such a huge thing happening upon our Mother Earth? What is it called? What is it? How is it a magnetic field? What the hell does a magnetic field mean? What does that do? Do you know about your magnetic field? Do you know about that? No, but you know about your spirit. This is your magnetic field. Your spirit, what emanates, emits, emanates, emits. Your spirit emits your energy, your power. As you know, a person will walk into the room, and if they're miserable, isn't there somebody, we all know somebody who's the miserable, no good, you know what? And as soon as they come into the room, everybody's like this. There goes the neighborhood, or there goes the afternoon or the evening or something. We all know, we can all see, we can all read, we can all feel when somebody comes into our midst who is a bad mood or a bad spirit. That is a magnetism. That's or a repulsion, but it originates from the same place, your spirit. Now, your spirit, from where you are thinking, from where you are having your thoughts, from where you're having all your perceptions and everything brewing, this is where you mix together all your thoughts and your perceptions of everything is going to emit into the world your level of place, your level of knowing your place, your level of happiness, your level of balance. So all of your thoughts about trees will emit good, happy thoughts, a good spirit. Now, if you have thoughts about trees, I look at those trees and I see dollar signs and I want to cut those trees down, then you are of a bad spirit. You are emitting something that repels. So this tells us, just like our Mother Earth, the magnetic field, which is her spirit, it can, like you, your spirit can either be turned to positive or to negative, your polarity. So it will either repel or it will attract, magnetism. So this is our Mother Earth's magnetic field, magnetism. It attracts. What does it attract? It comes out here. Here's our Mother Earth's magnetic field coming out right here, traveling all this way, going right back into the North Pole. What is that magnetism doing? Well, magnetism attracts. So what is it attracting? Now, is it just one, let's say, like the lines on this, on the globe here, you can see the lines. Is it just one, let's say on this line right here, this is the magnetic field. Is that the only place where it's happening? Or is it happening on this line, this line, this line, this line? And is it happening in between every line also? And is it happening in between all of those? Is it just like in your body, all your flesh and muscles and tendons held in your body, that your skin holds it in? Where is your skin? Is it just over your internal organs in a certain spot? Well, our skin is everywhere. So our Mother Earth's magnetic field is everywhere. And so when she goes and travels this distance, well, what she's doing right now in particular, she's coming here, she's picking up, when she gets here, she's picking up drought. She's picking up that the water levels are super low and that the temperatures are super high. And so she's picking up all of this here, and she's picking it up every square inch of the land to know that, to be able to record the same way that anybody who knows of recording devices, you know that the best recording devices, the best way is was on magnetic tape. I don't know if they do the, well, no, they don't use tape anymore. It's all digital now. But back when there was tape, you know, it was 8-track tape, it was cassette tape, and the best one for recording, picking up, was magnetic. So this is what our Mother Earth's magnetic field does. Here she comes out right now. How long does it take for, let's imagine, if this is, here's one molecule of the Earth's magnetic field. How long does it take to travel all that way back in there and then back, come back down? We could just guess, you know, like maybe it's happening 10 times a minute. Maybe it's actually happening 60 times a minute. Maybe it's happening 60 times a second. The fact is that the magnetic field is everywhere all at once. And as it's recording, as it's traveling, it records everything. So this is what the people of the earth, if they contemplated this, this would be of the biggest, one of the biggest things for us to come together on a common mind on, to be able to just deduce. What does this mean? Where do we fit into it? Do we actually understand it? Do we understand all the functions that are happening within our own body now? Of course not, because now medical is taken out of your control. And it's in the hands of somebody else, whereas in the past, everybody at least knew chicken noodle soup. Everybody knew that. Nowadays, people don't even know that. At one time, people knew that how to take care of their own health. People knew what natural medicines to go and get. Now, what do? You don't know a natural medicine. You don't even have access to one. Now you go to a pharmacy. And if you wanted to, I'll give you a prime example about right now of something what's happening with one of my dogs. One of my dogs has is bloated, and intestines are bloated. And nowadays, you can't even go to get a, I don't know what they would call that, you know, a pill to de-bloat, you know. just like before, anybody could go to a pet food store or a pet supply chain and you'd be able to get pills for worms. No, you can't do that. No, you have to go to see a vet to get your pills for worms to give to your dog. When, think of this, if you gave a healthy dog pills for worms, what would happen to that dog? Nothing. Would that pill hurt them? No, it would do nothing. So why do you need to have a veterinarian give you the prescription to give your dog a pill for their worms? Why? Why is that? Well, this is the crazy white man's world where it's all about money. It's not about the realities of what you think it is, because there's just something for dogs. Now, you look at the healthcare system for humans, and you know that the healthcare system for humans is actually worse than dogs. It's actually worse than the healthcare system for dogs. So you can see that the access to medicines, if you wanted, it's not there for you. You don't even know what the medicines are anymore because your parents sure as hell didn't teach you. Your parents don't know what they are. You take, for instance, most of our people today, they'll get a common cold, and they're going to listen to what the white man is saying about this contrived COVID stuff, which is coming back again. So they don't know how to take care of themselves. So this is something that is rooted down to the molecular level of oneself. If you're just not familiar with who or what you are, you're just not going to know how to take care of who and what you are. You're not going to know that as a human. Hey, wait a minute. You have to breathe in all of those things that they're giving you inoculations for, that they're giving you, what do they call those?
Injections. Yeah.
What's it called?
Injection.
Vaccine. They're giving you vaccines for the very things that you need to consume in your body. You need to breathe these things in. What are these things? What is it? Stuff coming off of the trees, stuff coming up off of the ground, off of animals, off of every living thing. What is there in this world that is foreign to us that we can't breathe? Nothing. Nothing natural. But if you go and you dig aluminum, whatever it is in its natural state, out of the earth, and then you process it and you try to breathe in those things, then it'll rip the interior of your lungs apart. Then it'll give you blood disorders. Okay, what do you say?
It's just because when we were talking with Celine about the fact of what's happening to the ground, to the garden, she said it seems that because the breast, the corn represents also the breast, the milk. She said the milk is being poisoned, and she forwarded a study that she found of Dr. Naomi Wolf, and the mothers that got the vaccine, they are finding something that is called glycol polyethylene, and it's petroleum basically. So the babies that are drinking the contaminated milk, because that's what it is, they are suffering agitation, insomnia, and gastrointestinal problems.
Yeah, and this is what the dog is experiencing. When you think of all of this about the milk, mother's milk, we've all just heard that there's been a big emergency for mother's breast milk. No, what was their solution? What did they come up with? Shipping mother's breast milk from Britain over here. Imagine that. Now there is alchemy. Now there is witchcraft. Imagine giving something from over here, let's say, if it's a Ganyangahaga mother, Now you're getting milk from a woman in Britain to put into your baby. Imagine that. Now that is what people got burned at the stake for hundreds of years ago. That is a witchcraft. That is alchemy. That is true genetic manipulation. So yeah, we look at how you manipulate one tiny little thing. What did they say? We've been hearing this for years, and all of a sudden we're seeing it, but nobody's arriving at this conclusion. They've been saying for years about this 2-degree mark. That, oh, if we get above 2 degrees, when the hell didn't we get above that 2 degrees? We've been above that 2 degrees. That 2 degrees is what? Is it a thing that keeps eluding you? Well, once you get to that 2 degrees, well, then it's another 2 degrees. And then we got to get, it's another 2 degrees. It's like as if they just keep lying that, well, we never got to that place where we said 30 years ago that if we increased by 2 degrees, that would be it. Well, 30 years ago, we got past 2 degrees within maybe 2-3 years after that. And each year has had record-breaking temperatures. And here we are now, not only record-breaking temperatures, but now we're seeing water being affected in ways that nobody ever thought was possible. You look at what has happened out west on the Colorado River, in Lake Mead, Lake Havasu, Lake Powell. These are all lakes that are man-made lakes that are the result of hydroelectric dams that they put on the Colorado River. And everybody knows worldwide that the Colorado River, this is one of the strongest rivers in the world. You know, it's like one of the most famous, biggest, longest, most treacherous. It's not known to flow like year round, so rough and so treacherous. It's only known that it comes in cycles. How does this happen? What's the cycle? How does water move in cycles? What's the cycle that determines water's movement? It's this. So this is the cycle, the heartbeat. That's what determines how much, how fast, how powerful the movement of water will be, or how lack of movement there'll be in the water. So how does this happen? How do we see heartbeat in the water flow within a yearly cycle of our Mother Earth? When do we see it? When do we see like if you're thinking of the heartbeat again, and you know that one pumps out and the other one pumps back in. When do we see the pumping out? When do we see the pumping back in? Which time of year in the cycle of the year is when the heart pumps out? Anybody? On our Mother Earth, this is, as you know, in the springtime, because this is the time when all the snow caps are melting off, the glaciers are melting off, the warmer spring rains come and it melts everything, the snows, the waters start flowing down the hills, down the mountains, into the streams. All of a sudden, the Colorado River becomes a raging river, something so treacherous that there's really very few rivers on earth that could compare to it. Maybe the Ganges, as you go further right closer to its sources in the what mountains are those? Up the Ganges River, the Himalayas. As you get closer into the Himalayas, then you'll see there, you know, just like where the mountains, where the runoff starts, like turning from stream into rivers. This is where where the real ferociousness of the Colorado River is known. When you consider that river has forged the Grand Canyon. That's a lot of power. It's a hell of a lot of power. So this is done by every time your heart beats, boom, the flow of water is pushed out there all throughout the body. So springtime is when the heart pumps out. So in the springtime, all of this flow, we know that there's a certain amount, like let's say you take your blood pressure. Take your blood pressure. So that tells you, yeah, okay, your heart is pumping out at the normal pressure because there's the normal amount of blood there in your stream. Right now, on our Mother Earth, what do you think her blood pressure would be? Would it be high or would it be low? Well, there's big droughts again in that Colorado River. There's big droughts all over the place, but yet there's also flash flooding. There's also, at the same time that there's big droughts, there's torrential downpours of rain. Yesterday in Death Valley, California, they got 1.74 inches of rain, I believe it was. And the all-time high is 1.79, I think, like that, something like that. I made a post. Anyways, I can't remember the specific numbers, but if you look at the post on my Facebook page, you'll see the numbers are there. I took those numbers out of a few different articles, and I looked at their numbers that they used, and then I took the mean number in between all the numbers that they use, because they're all going off the same statistics, but yet they're varying in the amounts that they're claiming. So this is to say that, well, our Mother Earth magnetic field, her spirit, leaves this right now. It's coming up here, comes this way, and it records what's happening in the Colorado River. And it records the pressure. It records the amount of water that is there. It even records the what would you call this? I can't think of this, but how clear the water is, if it's dark, like say muddy, murky, dirty. The Colorado River, normally rivers out west, they always look dirty. If you're from back east here and you're used to nice clean rivers, which I know you're not used to. Here we are, we're used to the nice clean water. And then if you go out west and you see clean water there looks dirty. It looks, you can't see in it. When I was out west, my friend Daryl Williams and I used to go out to Canyon Lake. That's like 60 miles out of Phoenix. We used to go there every day. And we climb along the walls and we jump off into the river. And one time I climbed up about, I don't know, it was about 10-15 feet, and I go to jump in the water and I landed on a sandbar. My knees come right up to my, like I almost broke my neck, hit my face almost on my knees. Anyways, the water was only maybe about that deep, and I hit a sandbar. You could not see. That's how dirt, or how the water is there, because of it's all sand. It's all like red earth, so it all looks like either dirty or rusty. So our Mother Earth records all of this. It records the density of the water. It records the temperature of the water. It records the pressure, all of these things. So for you go to the doctors and the doctor checks out your pressure and you got low pressure. Is that good? What does that mean? What can we deduce from low pressure? Who can tell us? Maybe right now, let's look on this. Somebody check on a computer. Low blood pressure. Not what are the symptoms? What are the effects of low blood pressure? So right now, the Earth's magnetic field is recording low blood pressure. Okay. What does it mean?
It includes symptoms of shock, confusion, especially in older people, cold, clammy skin, decrease in skin coloration, rapid shallow breathing, weak and rapid pulse.
Okay, so these are all the things that our Mother Earth are experiencing. Now, where can we see these traits? Let's see. What were the things they said again?
Confusion, cold,
Confusion.
and clammy skin.
Okay, let's look at this confusion. Where is this happening on Earth right now? Can anyone think?
I can't think of it.
Everywhere? Oh, okay, that's happening. Cold and clammy. Is that actually happening? Yes, that's happening. I think tomorrow we're set for a super hot day here. It's like supposed to be like what
40.
yeah, like 40 degrees with
Humidity.
humidity index, all of that kind of stuff. But then I think they said in the next couple of days, a day or so after that, it's supposed to go down to only 18 or 19.
During the night, 24 during the day.
Yeah, so if you are, in your own temperature, figure those fluctuations in your temperature. What would it do to you? If you're super hot and then you get cold, this happens to you when you're sick. And we know we've all been watching this happen to our Mother Earth, but when that happens, our Mother Earth gets clammy. Do you notice this? Can you detect it? Can you read it? Yes, you can if you're observing from where you work the land. You have to observe from a garden. You have to have your anchor. This is where you're anchored in whatever garden. It doesn't matter if you just got a pot that's sitting outside on your apartment window. That's where you're anchored. And you utilize that to read everything that our Mother Earth's magnetic field is picking up. What is it? Well, it's going to pick up, if you got just that pot, it's going to also pick up now the humidity index, the humidity level. It's also going to pick up things such as what is attracted to that little microcosm of an environment. If you got just a potted plant on your apartment window, that's a microcosm of an environment. Little weather patterns are created from there. But you look at, what does it attract? Does it attract little flies? Of course, yeah, bugs, different kinds, different insects. But does it attract a butterfly? Does it attract maybe a bird, a hummingbird? And when it does attract these things, these again are different traits. So let's see. If you're cold, hot and cold at night, and you're that you're sick, then each of us have different traits, different things that we're going to do when we're in a position like that. Some of us will just lay there and want somebody else to take care of us. Some of us will jump up and make some honor right away. Some of us will, not even worry about it. We'll just, sounds like some of us, when we get maybe sick or ill, it's like a challenge, and we push through it, like we want that on ourselves, on our bodies. We want that experience because that is a strengthening. It's not a weakening. So anyways, our Mother Earth's magnetic field is picking up these things all the time, constantly, and the same thing within us. We are picking up all of these things constantly with our magnetism that originates from within our perceptions that are established from what we have learned in this world, what we have been taught, and what we know. Now, let's say about a medicine that you need. You have learned and been taught about honor and order. Okay, so you're going to know that when you get sick, you're going to have a different approach. Now, let's say you're the person who's been taught about aspirin. Well, you don't know jack about on an order. You don't know nothing about any kind of natural medicine that you can just go outside your door and pick to get rid of that headache or to get rid of that fever or whatever. No, you're born and raised on aspirin. Now let's think. If you were born and raised on aspirin, where does aspirin come from? Because this is a spirit that you are utilizing. You know where aspirin came from? It came from Nazi Germany. And it came from doing experiments on the Jews, pushing them to the brink of death, and then utilizing that drug to pull them back so that you can put them in the experience of the brink of death once again and pull them back again so you can keep using them as a guinea pig. So this is the spirit of aspirin, what you are using, what you have been taught. So think of this. How many people of Jewish descent today run to the store, run to the pharmacy, and go get aspirin? How many? All. All. Do you know what you're doing to your great-grandparents? To your great-great-grandparents, to all the Jews that were utilized as those guinea pigs in Nazi Germany? What are you doing in the here and now as you're their ancestor and you're utilizing that thing that killed them many times over and over and over? You're the one doing it to them. So this is how our spirit emanates. It does the exact opposite of magnetism. At the same time, it emanates. It will push out all either the garbage that is accumulated in our heads or all the good that is accumulated in our heads. So you will be a magnet for what you emit. So if you are emitting aspirin, then you're going to be a magnet for that. You're going to be a magnet for the spirit of in which it was created. You're going to be a magnet for negative. Now, if you are becoming aware of these things, of these powers, then you can work with them. If you're becoming aware of our Mother Earth's magnetic field, it's been there all along. You've heard about it. Did you ever work with it? No, you haven't. You think you have. You're just alive, and so the Earth's magnetic field is going through you every time. And so there's something being recorded about you without you even knowing it. Now think of this. How many of you, you say, wait a minute, let me fix my hair, let me put some makeup on, some lipstick. Go ahead, and I'll take a picture of me. Now I'll take a selfie. Oh, you do all this kind of preparation for that kind of thing, a stupid thing of taking a stupid picture of yourself. But what do you do when our Mother Earth is taking a picture of you? Recording you. Do you know what she's recording of you? What is it that you are emitting? And so right now, at this time, when we look on our Mother Earth as to what we were talking about, as to confusion. Why is the world is in confusion? You tell me that the world is not in confusion if the whole world is all of a sudden been used to, say, like yesterday, I could eat steak, I could eat shrimp, I could enjoy myself. Today, eating crackers and cheese. That's all I can have. Why? Why is that way today? Where everybody on earth has had their wealth squeezed, where even you were rich yesterday, able to afford certain things like maybe going to the movies, just that. And now today you can't. How is that? Something else is empowering over all of us to affect us to be a certain way. Now, when you are this way, when you are restricted, if you are supposed to be growing like a tree, however tall, but something is placed over you and restricts you from growing there now, and you got to be abominated and grow that way and then this way, well, all of this stuff, these restrictions upon you, it alters your power, your energy that you put out there. So if you were at the beginning of the day, let's say you're good, you're putting out good, well, a couple of things break you down. Maybe by noontime, you're only putting out 50% of good. It may be by the time you're driving home in rush hour traffic, Maybe you're not putting out any good. Maybe all you're doing is getting pissed off at people, yelling at people, giving them the finger, and just having a miserable experience. What does this mean? Put everybody in a room and let everybody have a good experience, tell jokes or whatever, and then put all those same people in a room and throw some bully in there that's going to go in there and beat the living shit out of everybody. Is everybody going to have a good time? What's your experience going to be? What are you going to be emitting? What are you going to be attracting? See, we are now in that chaos. We are experiencing low blood pressure because we have messed with the blood of our Mother Earth. We have messed with her waters. We are destroying it completely. Now, when you think of things that everybody can relate to, you can all relate to cars, engines in a car, and you all know that you got to put oil in your engine. And you all know that you got to keep your oil clean. Change your oil every once in a while. We all know this about engines, cars that pollute. How do we not equate this to our Mother Earth? How do we not equate it to knowing that, hey, we got to keep our Mother Earth's water clean? How could we not know that? How could we accept that everything that we're doing is knowingly destroying the waters, polluting the waters, making our experience polluted? We're polluting our own human experience. How could that be? Well, this is because of stupidity. Whose stupidity? Well, it ain't the native people of Turtle Island. The stupidity is the people of Europe. Yes, stupidity. It's the people who have spread their poison around the world to destroy everywhere that they have gone, to uproot you from your natural place, and to mishmash, to cross you on your own trail of tears, to uproot you from where you have grown out of, and to misplace you, displace you somewhere else. Just like the way all of you non-native people are displaced here in my land. You have no idea how that makes you feel because you have never lived in your own land. You have no clue. You are generations of something that doesn't exist from its natural state. You are a manipulated version of your own humanity, and you have manipulated it yourself. Not that you have designed it and you have carried it out, but you are just quite simply falling in line, perpetuating something that has been done by every generation before you or the past. In the non-white man's world, who knows how long? You're at least 3,500, almost 4,000 years of this insane corruptions of where you're uprooted and you're moved over there and you don't know who you are. And those people are uprooted and everybody doesn't know who the hell they are. What happens when people don't know who they are? Are they at war with everybody? Are they at war not for any kind of conventional reasons as to what we would think of war in the past? Or are they at war now for economic reasons? Because this is what the world is at war for now. And so this is chaos. It's insanity. It makes no sense. You cannot make sense of what you are doing while you are doing it. What kind of mind is that? That's the result of low blood pressure. And so everybody is going to have this chaos, this confusion. And what else is it going to lead to? What are the other things that it says?
Decrease in skin coloration.
Defoliation. This is what's happening to the earth. You look at here, I noticed this right here in Kahnawake. Because of the, ever since 2005, 2015, in April, here, the British imposed genocidal elective system had become Métis because since 2015, April, they voted out native mothers, which means they're white now. They're Métis. So the white people here in Ganawagi that is running the British imposed genocidal elective system, that's the lesbian mayor and her gang, that they are pushing complete municipalization. It's Ganawagi is municipalized now. For them, they are brought under the Quebec municipal structure tax regime this year. People see that, hey, they got a beach. Wow, they got a beach on the island. Wow, what do they need that beach for? And who paid for that beach? And now you got white people going to that beach. Anybody can go to that beach. Non-natives can come right into Ganawagi, and they got the right to go to that beach. And if you talk to the lifeguards there that they have at that beach, and you tell them there's white people there, they'll say they can't do nothing about it. Why can't they do anything about it if we're in a reserve? How is it that a simple lifeguard right in the middle of the reserve can't do nothing about those white people at a beach in Ganawagi? Because that beach was made by Quebec with Quebec tax dollars. And in order for them to build that, to give that to Ganawagi, Ganawagi had to agree to be under the tax regime. Now, when you're under the tax regime, anything, when you're in the elective system, all of it, you're a white man. You're thinking like a white man, you're dysfunctioning like a white man, all of your corruptions are exact same as the white man. So all the pollution that natives are saying, hey, look what the white man's doing. No, it's not. It's the people who were once our people, but who have decided to become white. They are Métis now. And they are carrying out the destruction of the land, which here in Ganawagi looks like is in fact development. You now have what do you call it? Economic development of the community, where you're seeing development of the lands, which means the trees are being clear cut, and what is being put, what's being put where they clear cut? Well, pavement. That's what's being put. Mini malls. That's what's being put there. So Ganawagi is seeing the effect of what would you call it, where they lose color?
In pallor, it's paler, decrease in skin coloration.
Decrease in skin color is becoming paler. So Ganawagi itself is becoming paler. If you look at the land, if there's droughts, well, then you know that as droughts, there's not going to be even bushes around. You take, for instance, about Lake Powell, where the Hoover Dam is. You can go online and you can see these videos of this. They show the water level since whenever, 2008. And you got to drive down the boat ramps and you see these signs for the water levels since 2008. And you see it just goes down, 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 down to where they are now. And it's like, holy crap, it's like 150 feet lower than what it was in 2008. So what do you think? In 2008, where the water was at the shore, don't you think there was some green shrubs at least there? Maybe some small trees? Of course. So here's the tree. Now, as the water line recedes, is that tree going to stay? Is it going to stay alive? No, it's not. You're watching discoloration, this defoliation. You're watching the pigmentation of the land leave. So as the water goes further and further, the pigmentation way up there, it's gone. It's dried out. The soil is so dry. That means even it's so dry, there's no adhesive keeping the land together. What happens when sandy soil doesn't have any adhesion to keep it together?
It's washed up.
Anybody remember the Dust Bowl? You won't be old enough to remember it, but if you know your history of the white man, then you'll know all the corruptions, all the poisons that the white man has caused in this world. Then you just look into, I think it was around started in the First World War, I think it was around 1917, something like that, where whoever the president was at the time told everybody and actually gave subsidies for everybody to plant wheat to support the war effort. And so all through the Midwest, which is where buffalo grass grew, they plowed up the top 6 inches of the soil, and it was all dried out. It created the Dust Bowl. You'd see, like in the winter time, you see snow drifts like covering up a house. That's what happened in the summertime with dust. People were there was exodus of people from the Midwest, like Oklahoma and areas like that, where whole towns were just left. People just left, and next thing you know, there's a ghost town there. It's like a modern city. All of a sudden, ghost town. So this is what we're going to start to see. We're going to start to see dust bowls. You're starting to see, of course, with the increase of warm weather, hotter weather, this creates dust devils. And so you're going to start to see more dust being transported from there to over there through the dust devils that are arising, like, as you know, in here in like so-called Ontario and Quebec. Now we're starting to get tornadoes, where in the past, yeah, maybe we got strong winds and that, windy season, but tornadoes, it wasn't really a thing. It really only started tornadoes maybe about 30 years ago in these areas. But now they're increased, they're a norm. It's not an oddity now. Now it's expected. Like on a day like today, if you're super hot, like we're today here, where we're at in Kahnawake, just 15 minutes south of Montreal, that here, super hot today. So, that there's good possibility of tornadoes brewing in the area, especially overnight, when we know that cold air is going to come in and the hot air, then this is where tornadoes can happen. High winds, this is going to pick up. Even if it's just high winds, it's going to start to pick up that dust. It's going to start to break down the molecules that have been holding together, as the water that holds them together evaporates. Here in the lake across the street from my house, I've detected that since the beginning of summer, the water has dropped about 4 inches. Now, when you know that this is not there's no tributaries coming in, it's an old stone quarry. It's only filled up by springs, old springs. The only way that water would come down is when people drain it out the back. And they're doing that because they're developing, because of economic development. And so the waters have been receding here also. But this is also due to evaporation, because I haven't seen anybody actually draining the water out of the back this year. Last year they did. I even suspected that the brewing company was taking water out of the quarry for that. I can't prove that or whatever, I don't know. But there's a brewing company on the other side of the quarry there. And well, where do they get their water from to brew? They don't get there's no town water going there, no city water going to them. Anyways, for everybody to be reading your ecosystem from your root. You must have a root. I don't care if it's a big farm, a little garden, or if it's a potted plant that you have on your apartment window. You must have your root from where you start to begin to read the environment. Interact back with our mother's reading of you. Her magnetic field is picking up something of you. So let's say she's going over you right now and she's taking a picture of you. How do you want your picture to be? You're gonna be here like a grump. Are you gonna be all happy? Like the way you fix yourself up to get a selfie. Fix your hair, put your lipstick on, do your face up. Are you gonna do the best for our mother? Are you gonna try to put the best for her so that when she picks that up, when she's going over the body and all she's picking up is sick, illness. Hey, here's some good, here's some happiness in the world. What's gonna be something that you would rather emanate when you're picking up all this poison, bad stuff. Hey, happiness. Which one? Or when you get home at the end of the day, are you going to put on your mantle? Are you going to put all that poison and ugliness, or are you going to put that happiness there? This is the reality of the interaction that you can do, which is within your power within this world. You can push y'all into the world. One person can change the world. As you know, what did Hitler do? Was Hitler just one person? Yeah, he was just one person. He used the collective. No, we're all a part of a collective, and you see how easily poison is passed on in the white man's world. They accept poison. They give poison to their children. They'd rather give poison than give something good. This is the reality. It's not a matter of that they would prefer it. It's that they would rather, because of money. They'd rather do that because there's money, because there's something they get back. But doing good, where you don't get anything back except a smile, well, white man does not do that. It doesn't happen. If you got to create philanthropical organizations to make yourself feel good, well, then you know that you're just garbage. And this is what the white man has had to do. Create philanthropical organizations to compensate for all the corruption he's done in this world. Otherwise, why would he have to be philanthropical? Where does he get the money to be philanthropical with? He first steals it from you, enslaves you. And then once he enslaves you to do this and poison and destroy your own world, well, here comes along this good philanthropist like Bill Gates and says, well, what you need is 100 computers. Teach your children how to work on computers. So when all their water dries up and their lake is gone, well, at least you'll have computers. And this is what is really the craziness that everybody is allowing. It's something that you know is happening. You know a negative is happening, and you can do something about it, but you'd rather not. You'd rather just either sit at home or go out and party while it's happening. And just wait till the next morning and to see, maybe you're going to pick up the pieces. But after this one, you're not going to be picking up the pieces after this time around. All of this, what we're talking about, how to work with our Mother Earth's magnetic field, how to work with your garden, with your plants, how to emanate this proper energy back into the world. This is all stuff of the ways of humans. This is how humans are to live in the world. Now, look at the non-native world. What are you doing? If I was a non-native, I don't know, I would have to be completely mindless or just be one of these billionaires of the world, because it's either one of the two categories. Either you're completely mindless in knowing what's going on and you just don't give a good goddamn, or else you are the billionaire. You're one of the two. There's no in betweens. You think there's different levels of say like middle class, upper class, upper middle class, all of these. Not true. Doesn't exist. You are either the killer or the one that's going to be killed. That's what it comes down to now. So as we see what this guy that they call the Pope, that he made the statement of what the Catholic Church done, what they represented here in Turtle Island upon the native people, identified as it's genocide. Okay, what does this mean? Was it just here in so-called Canada where they did this? No, it was in the so-called United States, so-called Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, all the way Panama, all the way into South America, every so-called country, if you want to call them countries, these are all banana republics. These are all businesses that are set up by the Catholic Church to inflict genocide. And how did they do the genocide? It wasn't just that they came here just to kill people. No, that's what they do anyways. White man, they're just killers. Europeans, they're just killers. You can see it today, still right up into today. Knowing the state of the world and what's happening, what would they rather do? They'd rather just kill each other. Let them kill each other. The white man, the European, their minds are very sick. There isn't anything that's going to heal their minds. We have become exposed to this mentality more and more. And the more that you see it, the more that you know there is no hope. There is no hope for them. They are a lost cause. And so when we consider that the church sponsored this genocide here in so-called Canada and every other country, so then we can see that the church is the root of the genocide. Church is root of evil. It claims that it's good, talks about God, Son of God. Well, what did the church do? Didn't it kill the Son of God? They will say it wasn't the church, but then why does the church have the symbol that killed the Son of God right there for everybody to see? This is what keeps you in order. That's the gun. And it's there in front to remind you. You get out of order, you're going to get the gun too. You're going to get the same thing that God's Son got. They'll kill God's Son. So the reality is that the church is the seat of evil in this world. And any people who follow the church, well, you're a follower of evil. I don't care how good you want to think that you are. Just like this guy that they call the Pope. Think of this. How could he apologize or even say that there is genocide? How could he say that and still remain apart? Let's see. You come home and you find out that all your children are killed. And I'm sitting there and my company called the Catholic Church killed all your children. And that, well, you say something and that I come out on behalf of my company that killed all your children, the Catholic Church. And I say, well, this is terrible. This is genocide. And I go right back into my Catholic Church. What does that mean? That means that guy they call the Pope, that guy's the devil. That means he sanctions all the kidnapping, rapes, and murders of all those children, because otherwise he would have said, if it was genocide, knowing it's genocide, he would have said that this institution is corrupt. It's intrinsically corrupt. It is not what it says it is. So this tells you that the guy they called the Pope, he is the guy they called the Pope, because he's a piece of shit, because he allows and he continues to participate in an organization that kidnaps, rapes, and murders children, and they can identify it as the bad that it is, but he continues to stay a part of that thing that still to this second is still kidnapping, raping, and murdering children. So this tells you that anyone on earth that stays connected to Catholicism, to the Catholic Church, that they are the genocide. I got people who I know that I call friends who are the genocide. They're going to see this. They know that I'm talking about them. And I want you to come tomorrow to the mountain, because we're going to be talking about your evil poop, that guy they call the Pope, the piece of shit that he is, and the piece of shit organization of the Catholic Church. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow. And we're going to be exposing the genocide and what people have to do from here to deal with the genocide, to separate from it. If you are non-native, then there's something you have to do. If you are of the original peoples of Turtle Island, then there is something else different than that you have to do also. Anyways, tomorrow we're going to be pushing back this great witchcraft of male dominance that is religion. It's a male self-glorification process of creating God in man's image. Look how great we are. Look how great man is. What has that man done ever since he has gotten his God? First thing he'd done was oppress his women, kill his women, control his women, turn them into second class, not even humans, control them and manipulate them quite simply as baby factories to what? Produce more soldiers for them to go around the world colonizing and killing more people. This is the evils of Catholicism. It's the evils of any religion. And tomorrow we are going to be addressing, pushing back this great witchcraft of male dominance. So tomorrow this is going to be in Montreal at Mount Royal Park, where the Tam Tams are. That's just off of Park Avenue, just north of Pine Avenue. And we're going to be there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, further away from the Tam Tams. Look for the Mapuche flag and the Ganyagahaga flag. We'll be there, and we'll be giving a sharing circle. It's only going to last for about an hour, 2 hours max. Tomorrow's going to be super hot, so we're not going to be out there too long. But we're going to be there to honor our sisters and brothers who are protecting and defending the land all over the place. And in particular, one person, if we could share that poster of Eloy Mankapan. We're going to be in particular gathering to share the information to honor a young Mapuche man who was shot in the heart at point blank range for defending his land from the colonization of the white man. All the destruction of what he does to try to come in and to claim that this is his. Imagine this white man owns nothing in this world. Where is he from? Where is his home? White man owns nothing in this world. This world is of pigmentation. White man is not of pigmentation. And so white man goes into this young man's home, into Mapuche territory, and tries to put upon them the invasive land regime, the white man's rules and all of this, and tries to steal the land away from the Mapuche people. And this man goes to stand to protect and defend his land, and a white man assassinates him, shoots him at point blank range in the chest. Now think of that. What can that white man do without that gun? The white man can't do anything without a gun. The gun defines the white man. And so you look at why in the so-called United States right now that there's so many mass shootings, and they're always trying to say, hey, we can't do nothing about it. They can't get rid of the guns. Why can't they get rid of the guns? Because the white man is the gun. The white man is the gun. He is the killer. Now, am I saying this to try to bring up or raise a level of hate or whatever in the people? No, this is a matter of fact. You have to deal with facts. Now, is it my facts, or is it the historical facts that the white man has wrote and recorded about himself? It's the historical facts that the white man has recorded about himself. If I'm saying he is the gun, he is evil, he kills, it's because that's what he wrote about himself. He recorded his own actions, and that's what he is. Okay, I think somebody Elsa had her hand up, or we'll go to that, and then we're probably going to call it a night.
Elsa, are you there? Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, my name is Elsa, the Revelation, granddaughter of Leah and great-granddaughter of Adelina. I'm from Wellmaniki Nation and in Life Givers Nation. I'm a temporary Bear Clan member. So, sadly, well, it's it's regarding the whole night tonight, regarding the energy, Mother Earth, energy field, and our own as a replica of Mother Earth, and the what's happening with the poop. Because on Facebook, I was compelled to answer a feed from Quebecers that were saying crap and racism and saying totally stupid things, saying that some Mohawks wanted to take off the cross on Montreal, and it was not what did they say, not a founded ask, not how can I say this,
Request,
demande non fondée.
a non-legitimate request.
So I was like, what? I lost it. I didn't lose my gum. Like I said things, but I added substance to the whole conversation, but it was like comme une crêpe lancée au mur. It wasn't, it had no effect. I could see that they didn't want to change their position. They were racist towards me also. So
The what? The what?
sorry, emotion.
What's happening?
Okay, so so I wanted to talk about this because I wanted to ask
Ask.
how can I and
What?
I know it's about it's about, I know it's about me. How I know it's about how I react when but I just wanted to ask some advices to
Maybe you should write down what you want to say.
well just to keep my cool or peace of mind.
Okay, I know what you're saying. You think we could get that picture with that lizard again, with its skin? Okay, you could recall from last week that picture that we shared with the lizard that was shedding its skin. Okay, we're gonna
take a couple of seconds.
give us a minute. Edith's gonna share that again. We're gonna have that as an example, visible example as to what we're talking about. Okay, so for anybody, it doesn't really matter if it's a native person and you're dealing with racism, or let's say you're a non-native woman and you're dealing with the male dominance, or you're a non-native man and you're just dealing with the stupidity of the system. It doesn't really matter who you are. You all of us are all confronted with the same stupidity. It's just in different concentrations. Of course, that stupidity upon the native people is more concentrated because they have to kill us. I mean, even though we're still here, they still have to kill us. Otherwise, the white man does not exist here. In order for the white man to exist, he has to kill us. So when you consider this, look at this image. Where do you see the white? Okay, the white is in the dead part. We know that of this world, everything is of pigmentation because we are of the sun. We are children of the sun. You know that the white man is anti-sun. He's like Dracula. He's like a vampire. He can't be exposed to the sunlight. It'll burn his skin. So you know that he's not like everything else on earth. Everything else on earth is pigmentation. Everything else on earth needs the sun. White man is afraid of the sun. White man, as we know, is killing our experience with the sun. White man has destroyed and polluted the atmosphere first to the degree of where, as you know, greenhouse gases, all of that stuff, the sun penetrating stays within and it creates the greenhouse effect. So then the white man's solution to his corruption that he created in greenhouse gas effect is to, like what Bill Gates and others are doing, is to put aluminum shards in the atmosphere to cover up the sun being able to penetrate down to the earth. Now, people of pigmentation, do we want that? Do we want the sun to stop penetrating the atmosphere? Of course not. We are people of pigmentation. We want the sun. We need the sun. White man is not of pigmentation. White man is against the sun. He's against it because it is displayed in his actions in every country on earth that are all working together under economic systems to put either it's aluminum or there's some other oxidants like other metallic shards. I forget what it is, but other chemicals that they put in the atmosphere also to prevent the sun from coming. So we know that what's happening within that picture, the white part, the dead part, is trying to overpower the living part here on earth. This is the white man trying to, by colonizing, going around to every square inch of the earth to spread his whiteness there. And when he does, it kills that part of the earth. Is that what's actually going on? This is only 500 years. The white man isn't really a being upon this earth. You see that, like with that white, put on that lizard? Well, where is the white on its body? Nowhere. It's only in the dead cells. That's the only place it exists. It's only dead. The white only shows up when we are in the shedding part, when we're releasing all that is bad and evil that needs to be released from that lizard. Now, when you think of that lizard as our Mother Earth, the white is being shed. The dead is being shed. So here in Turtle Island, we got a 500-year perception of this evil being, the white man, the great darkness of the white man. This is true. This is what we've seen over the past 500 years. What we have seen is, if we're on the molecular level, what has been happening to the body? It's been turning slowly white. Is it the white that's penetrating into the pigmentation to take it over? No. It's a white on the surface that is about ready to be shed from the body. So the white man is about ready to be shed from the body. His existence is not within the whole cycle of the 26,000 year cycle. It's only for about, the white man has really only been around what? For about 700 or 800 years in the form of being white man. That's all he's been along for. So for that, being alive for that long, in the expanse of a 26,000 year cycle, 700-800 years, that's a blink of an eye. How long in the lifespan of that lizard is that time where his skin, the dead skin, is white on his body and he is about ready to shed it? So what you need to come to terms with is a realization of the true circumstance. You are the pigmentation of the body, and you're allowing the dead part, the white man, to manipulate basically your perceptions. Yes, we know the white man is here, and it's been a great darkness ever since he got here, and it's going to be a great darkness until he's gone. But do not allow yourself to be affected by what the white man is. Don't be fooled by him. He is not this thing. He is not a part of the living body. You are a part of the living body. So don't allow that dead part to manipulate your perceptions as to how then you are going to be. So this means that even in what you were talking, the way that you were talking, you should not even allow yourself to go to that low level. Why allow a white man and their corruptions of what they're doing in this world, war, destruction everywhere, male dominance, oppression of the female, all of the corruptions? Why allow that to affect your own level of happiness? Yeah, we could say we can't be happy as the white man's destroying everything, as he's cutting down all the trees, as he's making the temperatures rise, and as he's killing everybody. Yeah, you can't be happy with that. But you know what we're happy with? Knowing that we are, like in that picture of that lizard, we are the pigmentation. The white man is clearly in that white part. What's happening with that white part? It's dead. He's dead. He's being jettisoned. He does serve a purpose in this world, but he is not a part of the living body through the whole cycle. He brings the darkness. And when he brings the darkness keeps out the sunlight. And that when the sunlight isn't penetrating and it isn't pigmenting the body, then that means those cells that are there are in fact dying. So don't even allow yourself to be pulled into a level of conversation on any level with that white man. If you do, know that you are always in the commanding position, that you are always in the right position. The white is never right. Never. So just don't allow yourself to be affected by them. Enjoy what we are. Enjoy being alive. And enjoy this next little time left, this 3/4 now left in this cycle of this moon. Because this is when the skin will be shed. This is when that which is restricting will be freed up. And that white, where it exists, what's restricting, you'll find it's in your mind. Because that's where their existence has permeated. We look at this thing that France sent us this week about DNA. That, we've said this, that DNA is conveyed just by being in the same vicinity. If you are in the same room with me, with anybody, I'm catching your DNA, you're catching my DNA. If we're talking, it's exponentialized. If we talk, you're absorbing more of my DNA. So the reality is that we are absorbing, you're picking up all the time. Like we said, we're magnetism, picking that up. So just learn how to identify the polarities. You're not going to pick up any negative. You're only going to pick up the positive polarity. So when our Mother Earth's magnetic field is going over, don't pick up the negative. You know what she'll pick up? Almost nothing then, because they've turned almost everything negative. So it needs the positive. She needs the positive. She needs you to be the positive, not to allow yourself to be even at that level of where you can't talk, where you're kind of choked up, where you're emotional. Why become emotional over such a corrupt being? Why allow such a corrupt being to make you so emotional? Don't allow that. You should never allow yourself to be stooped down to that depth again. That's where the white man's mind is. Don't allow him to bring your mind there. Don't. So for something like this, it's not even a matter of like, how do I do it or whatever. It's just a matter of, even if you ask and somebody just says to you, just do it. Just don't allow it to happen. Be the good. Don't allow his poison to permeate to the point of where what you're pushing out into the world is his poison. Push out into the world the beauty, the truth. And if people don't want truth, well, then let them go with the white man. Because that's where all the lies are. So this is really what is happening now in the world, as was said, that the garden is gone from the heart, and it's gone to the mind now. So we have to deduce. We have to distribute our love based on deduction. We have to distribute our goodness, our happiness, all of that based on deduction. So we don't give it to those people who don't deserve it. So when you allow that white man to manipulate you to that level, you're giving them your power, your energy. Don't allow it. Don't ever do that. And that goes for everybody on every level. I don't know if you got anything you want to say about that.
Well, no, it's all good, but
Okay.
at the same time, I was thinking about that. Something came to my mind. I think maybe it's a year ago, maybe two, I don't remember. On a Wednesday night, some we were talking about colonialism symbols that were taken down, maybe in the States, but I also remember that one Cameroon guy was responsible to have taken down a statue of colonization, statue of a man, let's say a soldier, commander, whatever. So I was thinking because in that discussion, what came out is that if we take down all the symbols of colonization, we wipe out the memory of it. So it's not a good thing to take them down, if I remember correctly.
I agree.
So I was just, what came to my mind is that maybe the cross or whatever religious symbol would be, if we take them down, then the people, traumatized religious people, will later on forget what they did.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that 100%. This is the reason why that when they say Mohawk women are trying to get the cross taken down off of the mountain in Montreal. Oh, well, if you look at that, yeah, okay, maybe that's a good thing. If you look just at that. But let's see, where are these Mohawk women from? What community are they from? Are they from here in Kahnawake? Ooh, what are they doing about the two crosses that are here at either end of the community, the village, or the church? They're not doing jack shit about any of those things. Why go over there and ask for that symbol to be removed when you have 100 churches all over every street in Montreal, and you have these cross symbols right here in Kahnawake? Why? What is the purpose of them going to ask for this? This is mind manipulation. It's trickery. Because what it does is it gets you to think, yay, we got the cross down off the mountain. Yay, we accomplished something, when you got the crosses right here in Kahnawake, when you got the church right here in Kahnawake, when you got a pedophile piece of shit priest buried right here in Kahnawake, a white man, and they're not doing nothing about him. They're not doing nothing about any of it. So what is the purpose? Yes, I would encourage any non-native person to question that, to say, yes, what is it? Let them start with their crosses right here in this community first. They're not going to do that. They're not gonna. Why go out there? This is a false flag. Let's see them do that here in Kahnawake. If they did that here in Kahnawake, wow, then that might be some kind of truth. Maybe something that people can support. And then maybe white people on the outside would see that, hey, yeah, look, they're trying to get rid of the symbols right inside of them. Well, then maybe we can support them in getting rid of the symbols out here. But until they do that, the white man would just look at us and laugh. Stupid. Anyways, so yeah, this is basically, you're talking about a person, oh, what can I do to make the world a better place? And they're a miserable person. They're liars. They're doing whatever internal, and they're over there trying to do a little bit of philanthropical work. For what? Fix yourself. Kill your community first. What are they doing about the community? Jack shit. They ain't doing nothing about the community. I know these women. I know they have been that which has been perpetuating the divisions in the community. So, I ain't gonna go say, what's the first thing I'm gonna latch onto if I want to throw a punch out there? Oh, take down that cross when I got 2 crosses right here in my own backyard. This is stupidity. Okay, anyways, what time is it? We're beyond it.
9:05.
9:05. We're 5 minutes beyond. We're only supposed to go till 9. This, like we said, even some Saturday nights, maybe sometimes it could go just 20 minutes. Sometimes maybe it'll go 3-4 hours. It'll depend on what the subject is. But also that sometimes we'll just start talking without knowing what the subject is until we discover what it is. And then once we do, then we find that that subject needs to be expanded on. Like here tonight, we found a tiny little nerve in all the things that we opened up with, that brings us into this scope of being able to see that, yes, there is a native reality, a native truth pushing back the genocide, but then there's also a native reality that's complying with it. It looks like it's against it, but it's complying with the divisions of our people. So, stuff to examine more deeply. Okay, so tomorrow, can we share the flyer for tomorrow? Tomorrow, 2 o'clock on the mountain, Montreal, Park Mount Royal, near where the Tam Tams are. Not far from the intersection of Park Avenue and Pine Avenue. We'll be pretty close to there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to be with some Mapuche sisters and brothers to help support the defense that the Mapuche people are struggling with of their territories. And this is within the so-called country of modern day Chile. And so this is the same for all of our people everywhere. We need to bring a collective effort for all of our people, not just something here in Ganawage, not just for something in Mapuche land, but something for all our people everywhere, where we all stand together as one. What good is it if this finger here is fighting a fight that it's going to break the finger? And each of these fingers are fighting individual fights. And as on their own, they're all going to get broken. We must bring these together and raise a strong fist with a tempered hand. This will be tempered with love. And only the original people of Turtle Island can do this, because we are the only people on the planet who have risen from love to peace, out of war to peace. We are the only people. Everyone else, the white man, is still stuck in his dark ages. He is still loving his corruption of war. He is benefiting off of his own children being slaughtered in war. And so tomorrow we'll stand together with our sisters and brothers from north to south in the corridor of truth to reestablish, to push back this great witchcraft that has been cast upon the world through the Catholic religion, through all false man-made religions, but in particular through the Catholic religion, into every country that has perpetuated the genocide here in Turtle Island. And this is what you know as, if you don't know what Turtle Island is, there's a problem with you. If you don't know Turtle Island, the true name of so-called North and South America, these are all crazy by even thinking that this is a place. America, it's not a place. It's a mentality. And it comes from the year 1492. You are all stuck in the past of genocide. All the white people, all the European, all the non-native that have come here to Turtle Island, you are all stuck under this witchcraft spell that the Catholic Church has cast upon the world, controlling each so-called democracy, to be manipulating the average citizen to be the one who is the bureaucrat genocider. This is what the non-native person is. Every citizen. You are the instrument of genocide, which your grand poobah, that piece of shit they call the Pope, what he just identified. He said that it's genocide, and he stayed within the corrupt organization that kidnaps, molests, terrorizes, rapes and murders little children. He stayed within that. He is an evil piece of shit. If you're a Catholic, so are you. If you're any religion and you're here in Turtle Island, so are you. Yes, you are the enemy if you are of a religious mind. So tomorrow we're going to be pushing back this corruption, this evil witchcraft spell of male dominance that has been cast upon the world. Tomorrow we're going to push this back together. Now, you can be there with us if you wish. You don't have to. You can be either right or you can be white. One or the two. Okay, so Nyawagoa, Ayoki out again, Yeti Sota Gunhan there on the headstone, they're gonna go here at the Hawakwe. Damdawe out on headstone, because it's Tasser and Neganungwe. Damdawe because it's Tasser, Asset Nigat Dardige, Ganyaga Haga, Rajinyato, Runata, Huroni down or Riskarewage. Damdawe, a Guego on a gore, Gayana Rasa go and Escana, Orikuio, Gariwa Gori Shunsatana, because it's Tasser. Damdawe out on headstone and Gayandawana, Dano Ganigu Rio. So we ask our ancestors to help us to take all these words that were said, help not to be so fast at judging it or determining it, but to wrap your mind around it, to see if these things are truths, if they're lies, because things are getting so ugly in the world that we don't want to hear the truths. But if we don't hear the truths, then we will not have that which is destroying us addressed. It will just go unaddressed. It'd be like knowingly having cancer and just choosing to look the other way, choosing to overlook it. Okay, so we ask our ancestors to help us to sort these things out in our mind, to help us to live within the reality of the three universal clans of turtle, wolf, and bear, and to bring back the true spirit of peace, power, and righteousness to the united people with the Gayandawana, the balance, and the good mind as that which governs the people. Okay, so yeah, keep all of this in your mind and keep a very critical eye out, because you can step outside right now and you can see the shedding beginning. The shedding is happening. So keep your eyes out, keep your stay attentive. If you are within that white part of the body, you'll get washed out. So you know where you have to be. You have to be within the living part of the body. You have to be in the pigmentation. Okay, so now we'll go, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you there tomorrow at 2 o'clock on the mountain, Mount Royal, by the tam-tams. Look for the Mapuche flag and the Five Nations flag. All right, now we'll go, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Take care of yourself. I love you.